All right. Well, good morning, everybody. It is so good to be in the space with you. We were having some technical difficulties in one of the other areas and one of the other spaces. So, some of my she builders inside of the Facebook group, hopefully, they are able to find the video because it was not going live and keeps kicking me out. So, hopefully, we're able to rectify that and they're able to get to us. But you all are here. And so I want to honor our time. I want us to get started because we are running behind because of those technical difficulties. And so today we are in day 3 of the She Dreams to Build experience, which is a vision and goal alignment experience. And so this is a little bit different than some goal setting and vision boarding that you might be used to. And if you missed days 1 and 2, I want to encourage you to go back. You will be able to find them on my YouTube page, She Dreams, and you'll be able to find it there because it is really, really essential to build a foundation. One thing I always say is that you cannot make goals or make plans over chaos. Like there has to be some order. And a lot of times, what we try to do is it's the new year. We feel like we have a fresh start, and we do. It's a perfect time for us to really start anew because the old year has passed away. We're walking into the newness of 2026. We are here. It's January 3rd. And so we get excited because we can let some things go. We can walk into the newness of this year. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we are not just um, trying to plan and set goals and intentions over things that are not really settled yet or have order, right? And so we'll try to make some goals and then realize that things in our lives are not foundationally in order, foundationally set. And then what happens is that we begin to set these goals, intentions, and New Year's resolutions, whatever you want to call it, and we end up failing and not failing in a way that, hey, I'm trying this and I'm going to fail a couple times, but I'm going to get back up. We end up putting those goals, those dreams, those visions right on the shelf, never to pick it up again. We don't go back to the gym. We don't eat right. We don't do the thing. We don't start the business. We don't do all the things that we know we need to do. We don't go to therapy. We just stop it all because you were trying to set goals, trying to set intentions, trying to set New Year's resolutions when you did not foundationally have things in order. So, day 1, we talked about the dream and the vision. The dream is like a seed. It's that inspiration that is there for you that helps you it's that calling from God, that thing that is on the inside of you that is motivating you to do something different, to go after something. And then hopefully, once you plant that seed, right, in your heart, in the soil of your heart, then you're able to start see vision. Then you're able to get crystal clear on what it is that you're going after. It's not just an idea anymore. It's not just a dream as you were asleep, but now it's something that is coming to fruition because you are able to see with your mind's eye what you are going after. And we talked about that dream, we talked about that vision, and then we also talked about yesterday, we talked about the plan and the strategy that we can have a plan for things and we should have a plan. We should have a roadmap. We should have an understanding of how we're going to get to that destination on which we are going. How am I going to achieve the vision? How am I going to go after the vision? And we talked about that. And then we also talked about strategy, your approach to how you're going to do it, not just what you're going to do and what direction you're going to walk in, but how you're going to take each step. Why? Because you, as an individual, you are a part of the body of Christ. You have been created uniquely as you. And so it's important to remember that we are individuals and we have been created individually unique. And so the way that I approach something and how I do something may be very different than how you do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when I try to borrow your strategies and try to apply it to my life, sometimes I can get off because I'm not designed that way. And so we have to honor the way that we are also created, the way that God created us. Now, today we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into the idea, the concept, the theory of what I call seasons. But then we're also actually going to set some goals today. And so seasons are very important. We're going to talk about the seasons. We're going to talk about the goals today. Seasons are extremely important because sometimes you can set some goals, set some intentions, set some New Year's resolutions, again, whatever it is that you want to call it. And it's not in alignment with the season that you're in. Like it's in alignment with the vision that you have for yourself. It's in alignment with the dream that you have inside of your heart. And you can see that you are headed in the right direction and this is right. But the season of life that you are in is not conducive for that particular goal, dream, or vision at this particular time in the way that you're trying to approach it, go after it. So when we're setting goals according to the dream and the vision that we have and understanding the direction that we're to be moving in, it's important that our goals line up with also the season that we are in. I'm going to give you a quick example and then we're going to dive into today. I'm a mother. I gave this example yesterday. And so what I was able to do when I didn't have any kids is very different than what I'm able to do now that I have 4 children. I mean, even with 1 kid versus 4 kids, it's different. And so God doesn't expect me to go hard, go after, hustle and grind to try to do something, get something done, go after whatever it is that He put in my heart in a way that my children are going to be sacrificed in the process. That's not God. Now, does that mean that I put what I want to do and what He put in my heart on the sidelines? Absolutely not. There's harmony here. And that's what we're going to be talking about today because so often, especially as women, we get tired of having to be somebody's mama all the time. And I get it. We get tired of having to help somebody else all the time. And I get that. But we also have to use wisdom. We also have to do things in harmony. We also have to think about the obligations and responsibilities that we have. And so maybe you're not a mother. Maybe you have a spouse. Maybe you don't have a spouse. You're unmarried. But maybe there are some other things within your life that you're still healing from. Maybe there are some things that you got to deal with. God is going to honor that season that you are in if you are in a season of healing. Because sometimes it's not kids and sometimes it's not the spouse. Sometimes it's grief that we are dealing with. Grief of a divorce, grief due to a loss of a loved one, grief due to the loss of a job. Grief can be so many different versions and you need to heal from that. Or maybe it was a traumatic event that happened. And you know you have this dream in your heart, You know you have this vision that you are going after. And you know which direction that you need to be headed in and the steps that you need that you need to start to take. But as you are thinking about your goals, it is hard for you to start to move because you're still hurt. You still have some healing to do. And so it's not always a responsibility or an obligation. Sometimes it's healing that has to take place. And so we're going to talk about those seasons and we are going to set some goals today. Now, if you've been with us, I've been talking a little bit about the inner circle. Some of you are aware and some of you are even part of the inner circle. And some of you are OGs, used to be a part of the inner circle. I see you, Tiffany, and I see you, Cassandra. And so I'm going to be talking a little bit about the inner circle today because we have 2 more days after today. This is a 5-day experience. And the way that this is going, well, it's actually beyond a 5-day experience, but the core meat of it is 5 days. And so this, she dreams to build because we're dreaming to build something, right? We know we have a dream in our heart and we're going after it and we're building the life of our dreams. That's what we're doing. And through this, we need some support. And we don't want just another vision board. We don't want just another goal setting situation. We want to actually be able to go after and build brick by brick the actual dream that God has placed in our hearts. And that's what we want to do. And so I'm going to be telling you a little bit about today about the inner circle. That'll be later on, that you will have the opportunity to make an investment in yourself and become a part. It will give you access to all of the 5 days of what we have experienced up until now in the next 2 days. That'll be happening on Monday and Tuesday. It'll also give you the opportunity to have the quarterly check ins that I'll be talking about later on as well, and a workbook that'll help you walk through some of these steps and beyond. Okay. And so that'll give you all of that. But the inner circle is more than that. There's also weekly trainings. There's also many other things that we do inside of the inner circle. So I'll be talking about that later. You'll have the opportunity that if you say, Chantell, that's not a good fit, I want to just have access to the She Dreams to Build experience. I'll give you the information for that. And then we have the reset coming up on the 11th. And so, as we have been laying foundationally the getting things in order in our life and thinking about some of the mindsets, relationships, the things that we have to do from a habits perspective and goals perspective, and all of those things, I want you to have the support to walk it out. And so the reset is going to be the next step that you would take, which begins on the 11th. You have the opportunity to just join the reset, or if you join the inner circle, that'll be a part of your membership as well. So I'll give you all the details of all of that later on. But I want to dive into today and talk about seasons and set some goals so that we can get to moving along our path and our journey. If you hear me, I'm a little bit congested. I'm fighting something. And so forgive me if I sneeze or have to come off the camera for just a second, but I'll be back. Trust me, I will. And so we're going to pray and then we're going to go ahead and dive on in. Father God, we thank you. We thank you for this time and we thank you for this space. I thank you for every single person who is here today, those who are watching live and those who will be watching my replay. I thank you, Father, that you are doing a work in us. Now, help us to understand, help us to be aware, help us to be able to see the season of life that we are in and how we need to navigate this particular season, no matter what it is. Whether it's a season of motherhood, whether it's a season of being married, unmarried, whether it's a season of being without children, whether it's a season of healing, whatever it is, Father, I thank you, Father, that you will give us the wisdom that we need in order to navigate, but still go after the things that you have told us to go after, the calling that you have on our lives. So I thank you, Father, for doing everything in decency and in order, including inside of us. And so help us to take the right steps forward. Help us to be um, aware of what is happening in our lives and around us so that we can continue to take the steps that you have ordered for us. So I thank you, Father, for everything that you're doing. And I thank you, God, for loving us the way that you do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right. So I want you, there was two assignments. If you were here on day one and day two, I asked you all to do a vision statement. If you were here yesterday, I asked you to do some reflection questions. I want you to go ahead and put in the chat. I see I got some things in different areas, so I may not be able to see all the responses, but I want you to go ahead and put your vision statement in the chat and or give me just like an aha maybe of some of the things that came up as you were doing the reflection questions that we talked about yesterday. While you do that, I'm gonna go on pause for just a moment. I'm gonna come right back. All right. All right. I am back. Okay, here we go. So I asked you to go ahead and put in the chat your vision statement and any reflection, any aha moments that came up from the reflection time that you all had experienced. And so put a hey in the chat if you were not here for the first 2 days. If you were, I want to see those vision statements and I want to see those reflections. Maybe just an aha. I want you to use this space wisely. This is not just a space for you to sit here, sit back, and not do anything with this time. This is a space for you to lean in, for you to utilize, for you to do the work. All right. So I see Emerald has put in there. My vision is to build a life that honors God by raising the standard through intentional discipleship. I love that. Authentic relationships and faithful leadership. while stewarding my role as a wife, as a mother, an entrepreneur, and a leader in the church, so that lives, I'm gonna put this on the screen, so that lives are aligned with God's purpose. Believers are equipped to build wealth and wisdom, and God's kingdom is funded and advanced in this season and in seasons to come. That is amazing, Emerald. So when you look at vision statements like this, you can see that now that we have a vision, not goals, a vision. Now that we have a vision, we can understand what we're going to say yes to. We can understand what we're going to say no to. We can understand the goals that we need to set. We can understand the things that we are going to put our energy towards. We can understand the relationships that we're going to have or not have. Things become very crystal clear, right? And so when you are able to do these things, to sit down and craft a vision statement like this, you are able to really become crystal clear about what it is that you are trying to go after. So that's beautiful, Emerald. That is beautiful. Also add daughter of God to her roles. Absolutely. Because we are children of God, right? So let's continue on. I got my ginger, cayenne, cinnamon, what I call morning dew, in here to try to help some of this, ease some of what I'm going through here. All right. So, vision statements, aha moments. Was there anything that popped up as you were doing the reflection time from yesterday? There were some questions that I asked you to think about, where you were putting your energy, what was draining you, to think about some of the patterns that you have. Why? Because these are important. You got to know, like, as an individual, how you show up in spaces and what drains you versus what gives you energy. I use the example of this. I am called to do this. There's no doubt in my mind. However, my approach to doing this can be very different than somebody else's approach. My strategy for doing this is going to be very different than somebody else's. Why? Because I understand me. And so I understand that me being even virtually here with you all is going to drain energy from me. It's going to be a big push for me. And so then I have to schedule myself. I mentioned this yesterday, go take a nap. And what did I do when I was done? I went and took a nap, right? It doesn't take away the calling, but it helps me to understand how I need to navigate the things that God has called me to do. And so it's not like, well, this is so energy draining, I'm not going to do it anymore. No, it's understanding that what drains my energy versus what gives me energy, I need to balance that out. And so the call of God does not change, but the way that I approach it might, right? Tiffany put in her reflection time. She said, I need God and community to help achieve my goals and dreams. I am an introvert and tend to try to do things on my own. Absolutely. And that can sometimes be a curse of us who are introverted, right? Because we're so used to and comfortable with being by ourselves that we will just get it done ourselves and not even think about the fact that God didn't call you as an individual. He called, he gave you the dream, he gave you the vision, he gave you the inspiration and the calling, but there's also people who are to come alongside of you. He calls no one by themselves. Not even Jesus was called by himself. I think we forget that. Even Jesus had the 12 disciples. No one is called alone. No one is called to do something by themselves with nobody else. And that's why I fight back against the idea of when leaders rise and as they're rising to the top in certain spaces and places, that they begin to kind of not have anybody else around them, not trust anybody, not properly communicate with people, not have a circle of people. I begin to question leaders like that. You have to be very intentional, have the right people with you. But God did not call you to do anything by yourself. Even Jesus had the 12 disciples. He was not called to do it by himself. And so we have to be mindful of that. All right, let's dive into some of the things that we're going to talk about today. So, today in our session, I want to, okay, Let me get this up here. All right, here we go. So today in our session, I want us the theme of our session, let me say that. The theme of our session today is going to be about progress. Because when we think about our seasons and we think about the goals that we are to set, it's going to kind of set our pace. And so, pacing for faithful progress. Goals help us to understand that we know that we have something that we're going after within a period of time. If you set a goal, it should have a timeline to it. If you set a goal, it should have a deadline to it. You should not be setting goals and it does not have a deadline or a timeline to it. That's not a goal. It's just a good intention. And that's why I sometimes even thinking about good intentions, like an intention is good to set, but when it's something that you need to accomplish, complete, it's not necessarily good to set it as an intention without turning it into a goal without having a timeline or a deadline, because it'll stifle your progress. It'll stifle how you pace yourself going after that thing. You will also not necessarily know when you have achieved it. And so, progress that ignores, I said that we're talking about our goals and our seasons. Progress that ignores seasons eventually produces burnout. Why? Because you're trying to do something during a time that you do not have the ability or capacity to do it. You're not being aware of all the things that are on your plate that maybe you don't even have control over. Sometimes we do, but sometimes we don't. And we have to pay attention to that. And so, progress that ignores the season, like if you're setting goals that ignore the season eventually are going to produce burnout. You're going to try to hustle and grind towards it, and you're going to burn yourself out. Not just burn yourself out, but you will also possibly destroy relationships in your life. I keep saying sacrifice certain people in your life. Like your children in your marriage should not be a casualty of you going after your dreams. It shouldn't. And if they are, there's some work that we need to do. There's some going back to God that we need to do. There's some wisdom that we need to gain, right? So we need to be able to accurately discern the current season that we are in. And sometimes we can be aware of it, and sometimes we may not be aware of it. We also have to release the pressure rooted in comparison, because sometimes I can compare my life and the season that I'm in to somebody else's life who was in a different season. And I'm going to be looking at them like, well, they get to do that. And over here doing this, and I should be able to do that, or I should be doing that. But I'm not understanding that we're in two totally different seasons. So we cannot compare one to another. The Bible says that it's not wise for us to compare one to another. We also want to be able to translate our vision and structure into realistic goals. Sometimes our goals are unrealistic, which then stifles our progress and burns us out. And we always feel like we are trying to do something and get something, achieve something, accomplish something that we're never able to achieve because it was never realistic in the first place. We're setting ourselves up for failure in the beginning. We can't do that. We also want to make sure that we're establishing habits as the building blocks for long-term fruitfulness. Habits are everything. You will hear me talk about habits all the time, because habits are the things that we do on a daily basis. They're the things that we do without knowing that we're doing it. They are the repeated actions and behaviors that we have that are on autopilot. And it's up to us to make sure our habits are in alignment with our goals, and to make sure that our goals are in alignment with our plan, our strategy, and our vision. They all trickle down. But it starts with the daily things like habits. And so we're going to talk about it, the season. We're going to talk about goals, but we're also going to talk a little bit about habits today. So pacing yourself is important. And if I'm in the middle of a storm, if I'm driving, again, I'll use the analogy. I'm going down to Florida to go visit my grandmother and my aunt. If I'm driving from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I'm going down to Gainesville, Florida, I understand that I may encounter some storms. My the direction that I'm going is going to stay the same. The road that I'm on, the route that I'm taking will probably stay the same. But if I encounter some storms like I do when I normally go down there, I'm going to slow down. When I'm going through the hills of what is it? Of Tennessee, Kentucky, what are the other areas, Georgia, that are so hilly, and I'm on the highway and I'm going up all these hills and it's pouring down rain, I am going to slow myself down. Why? Because of the season and the storm that I'm experiencing. It does not mean that I'm going to stop, although I may have to pull over and stop for a moment, and we have done that. But I need to pace myself appropriately. Likewise, we have to do the same in life. Now, me saying that to you, I'm sure you know that, but do you do it? Are you aware of enough of the season of life that you're in? Like during spring, you know it's going to rain. During winter, you know it's going to snow. During the fall, you know it's going to be windy. The natural seasons that we experience during the summer, we know it's going to be sunny. The natural seasons that we experience, we can anticipate the weather conditions and what we're going to have to experience as we're walking, driving, biking, running, flying, even. Because a plane has to even be cognizant of the season and the weather conditions that are created by that particular season. It's going to cause me to either have to fly higher, fly lower, fly faster, slow down, maybe even go around. And so sometimes we are doing things like you know this from a natural standpoint, but are you actually practicing it in your life? We have to pace ourselves, and this is a spiritual discipline. This is a spiritual discipline. And so many people, I'm going to put this up um, on the screen here. Many people, many people, many people don't fail for lack of vision or discipline. They fail because they misjudge their season. I don't care how strong of a foundation you have. If it's raining outside, it's raining. Like even when Jesus talks about the house that is built on sand versus the house that is built on a rock, they both go through a storm. Now, what we've been talking about through days 1 and days 2, we want to make sure that our house is not built on sand. That was the purpose of days 1 and 2. Now we're getting to day 3 and we understand, okay, we're building on rock. We're building on a solid foundation. We're making sure that all the things that we have is foundationally set and order is in place. We understand the dream. We're clear on the vision. We're making sure that whatever we do go after, that we have a plan and a strategy because we're being mindful of who we are. And so now when we get to set goals, we still have to be understanding and aware of the fact that even if my house, my life is planted on the rock, I am still going to go through storms. I'm still going to have to weather the storm and the different seasons that I'm going to be in. People don't fail because they lack vision and discipline. They fail because they misjudge their season. And this is why sometimes when I talk to people, I say, goals are great. But if you have a whole list of goals, there's a problem. You are not going to accomplish all 10 of those, 20 of those goals. You should have around 3. That's it. 3. Now, that does not mean that all 3 will be for the same timeline. Maybe one goal is for maybe one of the goals is an annual goal, like that'll take a whole year to do. Maybe one of those goals will be a 6-month goal, and maybe one of those goals will be a monthly goal. Maybe they do have different timelines. And then you can add, once you accomplish it, then you can add another one on. But you should not have more than about 3 goals. Why? Because you cannot do everything at the same time. And a lot of times we're trying to do too much too fast. And we have to slow things down. We have to be aware of the season of life that we are in and see, okay, is this adding up? Is this lining up to what I'm trying to go after? Is this conducive? Is the weather conducive for what I am trying to do? Is the season of life that I'm in, is it conducive for what I'm trying to go after? Not push the vision to the side, push the dream to the side. That's not what I said. But every dream should be translated into a vision. Every vision should be translated into a plan and a strategy, and then those should be translated into goals. And how I go after that vision is going to be determined by the goals that I set. And so you trying to start a business, change your eating plan, go to the gym, write a book, read the Bible in a year, or sometimes we try to read the Bible in 3 months. Pray for an hour every day. Make sure you're hanging out with your friends because you want to make sure your relationships are going well. So invest time in your friendships. So that'll be an hour a week. Like, we try to do too much. All good things, but not conducive to the season of life that we're in. And just too many things. So we need to make sure that we don't misjudge the season of life that we're in, be cognizant of it, and then set our goals appropriately. So if the vision and the dream is to go after and to do something, to build the business, to become a speaker, to whatever it is, to write a book, whatever, that does not mean that today I have to start writing a book. That does not mean today that I have to start booking speaking gigs. That doesn't mean today that I have to go and get the LLC. There may be some other foundational things that I can do to prepare myself for that thing that I'm going after that aligns with the season of life that I'm in, that does not allow me to divert from the path and the road map that I'm on to getting towards that vision, but also is still in alignment with the season of life that I'm in. So when we're trying to do all the things and it's raining outside, like, do you text, change the music that's on, eat a sandwich, take a drink, look at a road map, all while you're driving at the same time, especially when it's raining? No. We shouldn't be texting while we're driving. We shouldn't be eating while we're driving. We shouldn't be messing with the whether you do it on your phone or however you, with the radio, with the music while you drive. Like, we shouldn't be doing all that stuff, but we try to do it in life all the time. All the time. And so we have to understand that we have to slow down. We have to be aware of the season that we're in, and we can't do all of the things. You can do all of the things, but you can't do all of the things at the same time. God is not impressed by your speed. He's not. He's not impressed by your speed. He is pleased by your faithfulness, but he is not impressed by your speed. There's a Proverbs, and I can't remember what the Proverbs is, what chapter it's in, but there's a Proverbs that says anything that's done hastily will always end in destruction. God is not like wealth gained hastily. That's what it is. Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase in it. Proverbs 13 and 11. Wealth gained hastily, too fast, too quick, not thinking, just doing, will dwindle. But whoever gathers little by little by little by little will increase it. God is not impressed or about how quickly you did something and how fast you did it by your speed. He wants to know that you're doing it the right way. He wants to know that you're doing it in a way that is going to be healthy for you and those who are around you, that there's no casualties. He wants to make sure that you are doing it in a way that is going to be able to sustain it. Too many times we're trying to move too fast, too quickly, do too much, and we're not able to sustain anything that we have done because we were moving too fast, doing too much, not being aware of the season that we're in. When pace doesn't match our season, guilt increases, joy decreases, sustainability breaks down. Guilt increases, joy decreases, and sustainability breaks down. Now, there are moments and there are times where I'm sprinting. I'm moving very fast. I know that I need to hurry up and get some things done. I homeschool my children. So during the times that we take breaks, oh, I'm all into my business. But during the times that I have to, we're in a schooling period, I am halfway into my business and halfway not. It does not have my full attention. But when they are off and we're in a period of pause and rest for our homeschooling, oh, I'm all in. I'm doing all of the things. So it's not just like we only have to slow down. You also have to be cognizant of when to speed up. You also have to be aware. It's like a mother nesting. If you've ever been a mother and you were getting ready to have a baby, there's something that comes over you that makes you want to prepare everything. I remember with my children, like it wasn't just about preparing the nursery and the room of where the baby was going to be, but it was also about making sure that the house was clean from top to bottom. Part of that reason was is because I knew that once I had the baby, I didn't want to be bothered with having to clean the house. So I was actively, quickly, swiftly sprinting to get all of the things done immediately before I had that baby. So there are times where you do got to pick up the speed. But most times we're moving too fast. So we have to be aware of what it is of the season that we're in because we want to make sure our pace matches our season. If I'm driving in Texas on the highway and it's a beautiful sunny day, there's no rain, there's no nothing, and I know that the speed limit is 75 miles an hour, I better be going 75 miles an hour because otherwise, if I'm not, I'm going to get ran over by another car because they drive crazy down there. Right? So there are times when you do have to speed up. Your pace needs to match the season that you are in. So today, we are restoring wisdom to movement. Every season has an assignment. And this is one thing that we have to understand. Every season of your life has an assignment. Every single one. Why? Well, let me back up to let me not just say why. Every season has an assignment. And sometimes we think there's this ultimate assignment that we have for our life and that God is calling us to. And not understanding that God speaks to us in every step of the way, in every phase of our life. And as we evolve and mature and develop, He's speaking to us. And so the season of life that we're in, like there's an assignment for that particular season. I'm in a season of motherhood. I have an assignment to help my children grow into the human beings that they are called to be. Nothing is going to come in between me and that. Nothing. Not a business, not a ministry, not a person, not a nothing. I understand that my greatest legacy is in those kids. I understand that what I do now with the time that I have while they're in under my roof and in my home is going to impact the rest of their lives. And if I don't handle it right, and I don't always handle it right, but if I'm at least not trying to, then what's going to happen when it's their turn to take care of me? Oh, because my kids will at some point will have to take care of me, right? And so we want to be cognizant of the season that we're in and what we are assigned to for that particular season. When I was in a season of unmarried and without children, I did not understand my assignment. Oh Lord, I did not understand my assignment. Do we have anybody who is not married and without children on right now? I want you to put a thumbs up or put single, put something in the chat. If I would have understood my assignment when I was unmarried and without any children, my life now would be drastically different and for the better. I didn't understand my assignment. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I did not have anybody telling me what to do with my life while I was single and without children, other than live it up, other than have all the fun you want, other than do all the things that you want to do. I had nobody telling me that this time that I had to myself was going to be precious, that this time that I had to myself without anybody that I didn't have to be responsible for nobody, I didn't have to be accountable to nobody but me, myself, and I did not understand my assignment. Every single season has an assignment. And when you handle those seasons properly, the next season that you go into, oh, will be so much better. Because if I would have handled my season while I was single and without children properly, when I had a child first before I was married. And so when I moved into having a child, I would have handled it a lot differently and a whole lot better. When I moved into being married, oh, I would have handled it a lot better when I got married. So we have to understand that every single season has an assignment. No matter the season that you're in. If you're in a season of healing, there's an assignment there. You want to get everything out of that time so that anytime you come up to somebody who is dealing with the same thing, you know what to do, you know how to handle them, you know how to help them. Why? Because you took your time in your season while you were healing. It's just like when you plant something. There are seasons to plant, there are seasons to toil to till the soil. There are seasons to harvest, there are seasons to let the land rest. And when you handle the soil properly and according to the season that you are in, you handle it right, then the harvest that you have is going to be so much greater. But the problem is we don't handle our seasons right. We don't understand that there is an assignment in every single season. Sometimes we're looking at somebody else's season and wishing we were over there, and looking at somebody else's life and wishing we could do that, instead of thanking God for the life that we have right now, the season of life that we are in right now, and doing exactly what we need to be doing with the season and the life that we have, not somebody else. Every season has an assignment. Now, here are some seasons that I want to bring out a little bit. Sometimes we can be in a season of demolition. We don't like that one. Sometimes we can be in a season of demolition. Sometimes we're in a season of demolition, tearing down what once was to make room for what will be. We have to tear down some things sometimes. There are moments and times where you see different areas of land and they have to do demolition to that land or demolition to what was there in order to build what they want to build that is new. Sometimes we're in a season of demolition. Sometimes you're not in a season of building, and you have to be okay with that because you are demoing. You tearing stuff up, destructive. You are intentionally tearing things down with purpose because you know that you're tearing things down. You're tearing down what once was in order to make room for what will be. Because we can't always build on what was. Sometimes what was so rocky and so shaky that it has no stability. So we got to tear that thing down so that we can have and can build a life that we really dream of, but it's going to require some demolition first. Because what was there wasn't strong. What was there wasn't sustainable. What was there was weak. It had rodents and what are they called? Termites. Things eating away at the foundation. We had to demo. We had to go in and tear some things down. That can be a season. Another season is building. Sometimes we are in a season of building, of laying foundations. A lot of times we think about building as far as building up, but before you build up, you have to build down. You have to set your foundation first. Any structure that you've ever seen built always has a strong foundation, and the higher up it goes, the deeper the foundation is. And so if you plan to go high, if your vision is tall, big, high, then your foundation better be deep. And so if you're in a season of building or entering into a season of building or know that you need to be in a season of building and that's where God is calling you to, make sure you don't abort the process. Make sure that you pay attention to the assignment. Another season that a lot of people don't like is the refining season. The refining season, strengthening what exists. Now, refining can look a lot of different ways. And when you go to the Word of God, a lot of times you'll see refinement happening during times of fire. It talks about how the gold and the silver has to be refined through fire. All the things that are impurities have to burn away. And then what is good rises to the top or lasts, it sustains, it stays. It strengthens it as well. A lot of times people don't like the refining seasons of their life because it does require some pain, but it's strengthening. It's just like going to the gym. Anytime that you go to the gym, it's going to hurt. That's why a lot of us don't like lifting weights. We'll go to the gym and look cute, but we don't really want to go in there and lift no weights. We don't want to gain no muscle. Although they say that if you gain muscle and you work on muscle mass, the older you get, the better you are because you need to have some muscle. So you won't have osteoporosis. You won't have to worry about falling down. Why? Because you got some muscle and you've been strength training. But who wants to go strength train? Why? Because it hurts. Who wants to go through the refining process? Why? Because it hurts. But maybe that's the season of life that you are in. And that is your assignment for right now, to be refined, to go through the fire, to do the work. Another season is a restoring season. Healing, recentering, stabilizing. Sometimes you just need to take time to heal. Sometimes it's not even a moment of healing. It's just like, I need to recenter. I'm off. I need to get back to center. I'm so excited about 2026 because I'm so excited about 2026 because I think it was in 2020, I did a retreat and it was all about recentering, refocusing. I'm doing it again this year, 2026 in October. We are doing a retreat. Because sometimes it's not always about the healing process. Sometimes it's about the fact that I just need to recenter. I've done a lot. I need to recalibrate. Maybe I'm not all the way off, but I just need to recenter. I've done a lot of work. Now I need to recenter. And a lot of times after going through the demolition process, the building process, the refining process, you get to the point where you do need to restore. When you go and you work out, you put that weight on you and it hurts and it hurts. You got to go and drink some protein. You got to go and get in a put some ice packs on or get in a hot bath. Like you got to do some restoration processes. And we got to do that for our life to stabilize things. The last season that I'm going to talk about today that you may be in is a season of maintaining. A season of maintaining. And this is stewarding and sustaining. This is about looking at what you have. This is not about you scaling. This is not about you growing. This is not about you building. This is about you maintaining exactly what you have right here, right now. And if you don't do it with intention, you will not maintain anything. If you are married and you just think that your marriage is going to just miraculously be good all by itself without you putting any intention into it, maintenance, maintaining it, you're going to wake up one day and not know the person that you're laying next to. I'll go back to the car. I'll go back to the roadmap. I'll go back to getting down to Florida. If I don't take care of my car and maintain it well through good oil changes and all the other things that I need to do, my car is not going to get to Florida. It's not. Why? Not because it needed to be refined, not because it needed to be built, not because it needed to be torn down, not because it needs to be restored, because I didn't maintain it well. Maintenance is necessary, but you have to understand the season that you're in. None of these seasons are inferior that I just mentioned: demolition, building, refining, restoring, or maintaining. They're just part of life and part of the process that we go through. And so sometimes we can go through these times um, loud, out in the open for everybody to see. And sometimes no one knows about it. And that's okay too, because a quiet season is not wasted. So sometimes it's for you to be quiet about the season of life that you are in. Not that everybody has to know all of your business, but it's for you to be quiet. It's for you to it just to be between you and God, and that's it. That's all. So here we go. I want to invite you to reflect on what I just said. I want you to think about what life is demanding of you right now, where your energy levels are at, what your emotional and spiritual capacities really are, and what your external responsibilities are. I'm going to ask you to rate these on a scale to 1 to 5 in just a moment. Because when we start to understand the season that we're in, we can better pace ourselves and better set goals that align with where we're trying to go, and then actually see some progress. So, if you had to rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 5, and each one of these is going to be 1 to 5. If you had to rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, okay? Where would you rate your energy levels right now today? 5 being the highest, perfect, I got all the energy in the world. 1 being, I don't even know how I'm here today and keeping my eyes open. Where would you rate your energy levels right now? I want you to go ahead and put that in the chat. Go ahead and put that in the chat. Then we're going to go to the next question. Now I want you to think about what life is demanding of you right now. And what I mean by life, I'm not talking about necessarily your responsibilities, because that's a different question I'm going to ask you. but just like, is life lifing? Like things that are outside of your control, like, is it demanding a lot of you right now? And so thinking about what life is demanding of you, 5 being the most, it is demanding everything from you. 1 being, I'm all right. It's good. Where would you rate yourself? 1 to 5. What is life demanding of you right now? Is it a lot or not so much? Go ahead and put that in the chat. Next question. Emotional and spiritual capacity. Emotional and spiritual capacity. 5 being, I got all the capacity in the world. I can handle anything coming my way. I'm emotionally good. I'm spiritually good. I'm great. 5 being great. 1 being, I don't have the capacity for nothing else. I'm about to cuss everybody out. I'm about to what we call lose my religion. I'm done. Don't ask me to do nothing. I can't handle nothing else. I'm emotionally spent. I'm spiritually spent. I'm done. That's a 1. Where are you at on a scale from 1 to 5 in an emotional and spiritual capacity? 5 being great, 1 being not at all great. Where are you at? This is going to help you to identify the season of life that you're in according to the demolition, the refinement, the building, the restoring, all of those. The healing that may need to take place. Go ahead and put that in the chat. Our last reflection to consider on a scale from 1 to 10, what are your external responsibilities looking like? 5 being, I have so many responsibilities, I can't think about it no more. 1 being, I really don't have that many responsibilities. I'm good. On a scale from 1 to 5, did I say 1 to 10? I feel like I said 1 to 10. 1 to 5, external responsibilities. What is pulling on you? These are the things that you could probably say no to, but you don't because you feel a responsibility and an obligation to do it. But they're external responsibilities. So not within yourself, but things that externally are happening. 5 being all the things. 1 being, I'm good. I'm good. Make sure you put that in the chat. Now, as you're thinking about what I just asked you, I have 2 more questions that I want you to take some time on your own to consider and think about. And this will be for after we get off. Where does God seem to be emphasizing depth, 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 deep, deep over expansion? Remember, I said any building that is tall is also deep. And so sometimes when we think God is expanding my territory, God is enlarging my territory, I hear that so much and I'm like, you sure about that? Because if he's expanding and enlarging your territory, then he also wants you to go deeper. Which means you may have to do some building, which means you may have to do some refining, which means you may have to do some restoring. Where does God seem to be emphasizing depth over expansion in your life? Where you need to pause for a moment and you need to go deeper. It's not about being showy and doing all of the things, but it's about you actually getting quiet and going deeper with Him. Next question for you to take some time and reflect on your own is, what keeps resurfacing in prayer? What keeps resurfacing in prayer and reflection? It keeps coming up. No matter what you do, how you try to get away from it, it just keeps coming up. You keep pushing it down, but it keeps coming up. You don't want to deal with it, but it keeps coming up. You thought you dealt with it, but it keeps coming up. You think you are dealing with it, but it keeps coming up. It keeps resurfacing. What keeps resurfacing in prayer and reflection? This is what's going to help you to understand the season of life that you are in. And if you just suppress it, if you just push it down, it's going to do nothing but get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm not talking because I think I know what I'm talking about. I'm talking because I've experienced it myself. I remember one time I was sitting and doing a meditation, and it's a body awareness meditation where you start from the head, from the top of your head, and you go all the way down to your feet. And you just kind of check in with your body and see how things are going. And I started doing this meditation, and I got to my heart. And when I got to my heart area, there was an overwhelming emotion to start crying. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. I didn't know why I was crying. I didn't know what I was crying about. I didn't know, like, and I don't cry. So it was throwing me off. I'm like, I'm just checking in with my body to make sure everything is all right. And I'm crying. Like, what is happening right now? I couldn't stop crying. And it was because I kept suppressing feelings and emotions and things that I needed to deal with, that I was not dealing with. And intellectually, I felt like I had dealt with it. But from a heart center, from an emotional and spiritual standpoint, I hadn't. And it was stopping me from progressing and moving forward. And so I had to take some time to do some healing and some real conversations with myself and slow myself down. And so when you're thinking about pacing yourself for what it is that you're going after, we have to be aware of the season, and we have to be honest without judgment. Show some compassion towards yourself. You don't have to be so hard on yourself. Show some compassion towards yourself. All right. We are at 12, almost 12:15. We are going until 1 o'clock. We are almost to the finish line of our 3-day sprint. And again, I want to invite you all to join me for the next 2 days, which will be on Monday and Tuesday of next week, of this coming up week, which will be focusing on some other areas, and also get the opportunity for you to have some quarterly check-ins for alignment and accountability. So if that is something that you are interested in, I want to make sure you have the opportunity to do so and be a part. For those of you who are already in the inner circle, is already included in what you are doing, so you don't have to worry about any of that. But for those of you who are maybe not a part of the inner circle, and are interested to find out what the inner circle is all about, I want to give you the opportunity to do so. So I am going to put a link inside of our comment section here, so that if you are interested, you are able to go ahead and join the inner circle. Now, there are a couple ways that you can continue on in this experience. One way is to make sure that you either join the inner circle, or the other way is just to make an investment and continue on in the process of the She Dreams to Build. And so that is another way. And I'll be putting that in the chat in just a moment, but I want to start with the inner circle. So, just a little bit of a pause there for those of you who are interested and have been asking. There's the link for you to go ahead and join the inner circle. It is there. I'll do it again at the end. But before we do go any further, I want to check in. How y'all doing? Y'all all right? I was expecting more people today because it is Saturday, but it's an interesting day. So, hey, it is what it is. But I appreciate those of you who are here with me. I so appreciate you and thank you all. I know we got people in different spaces and I wasn't able to see everybody. Um, so thank you so much for being here and being with me on this Saturday at 12 o'clock. I really, really do appreciate it. I know inside of our She Builders space, I was not able to share the video link because it was acting up. So hopefully everybody was able to see it. And it wouldn't even let me share it on Facebook. It was acting really, really weird. So I don't know what all that's about. But hey, you know, things do weird things. But just want to check in with you all and see how you all are doing. Let me know if you're doing good. We are getting ready to continue on in just a couple moments. But let me know how you doing. Y'all good? You're tracking? Excellent. Emerald said, thank you, Emerald. I see you. Tarsha, I see you on. It's so good to have you. Tarsha is part of our inner circle. Emerald is part of our inner circle. Stephanie just joined the inner circle yesterday. So congrats to you, Stephanie. We welcome you into the inner circle. We are so glad that you are here. Tiffany Thomas, I don't know if she's still with us. She may have to have gotten get off, but she's an OG of the inner circle. So just want to shout her out as well. All right, you all, we're going to continue on and keep on going because now we're getting to the goal setting part. This is where, everybody wants to be at this part, but don't want to do all the work that I've been talking about for the last couple days. But if you do the work that I've been talking about for the last couple days, when you set these goals, you're definitely gonna crush them. You are absolutely going to crush your goals if you do the work that we've been talking about. So I'm gonna say one more time why seasons matter for your goals, because goals fail when we assume a future season capacity, when we ignore present responsibilities, and we compete with God's current work. What am I saying? Sometimes we think that in 6 months from now, I'm going to be able to do a thing. And you're not going to be able to do it because you don't know exactly what the season that you're going to, what you have capacity for. And so we need to be cognizant of that as well when we're setting goals, not just for the current season, but also the future seasons that we may encounter and be in. So if you're coming into a season of being married or becoming single again, if you're coming into a season where you are getting ready to have a baby or you're empty nesting, don't assume that that future season is going to be one that's going to give you so much room and so much space to do whatever you want to do. Think about the possibilities of what can actually happen in that season and the transition time that's going to take you for you to transition out of one season to the next. When you're transitioning into motherhood, it's very difficult. When you're transitioning out of motherhood, and I don't mean we ever stop being a mother, but when a child leaves your house and you become an empty nester, that is very different. When you're transitioning into becoming somebody's wife, that's extremely different. When you're transitioning to becoming single again, Lord knows that's different. When you're transitioning for other reasons, for grief reasons, for healing reasons. We just have to not assume the future seasons and the capacity that we're going to be able to have. So make sure that you're not putting too much, the goals that we're getting ready to set, that you're not putting too much in the future tense, that you're setting yourself up for failure. Like you're being aware of the season that you're in right now, but you're like, I'm not always going to be in the season, so I'll be better later on. And then you get to that later on and not so much, right? You don't have the capacity to do it. We want to make sure that we're not ignoring our present responsibilities. We talked about that. But we also want to make sure that we're not competing with God's current work. What He is doing in you, we want to make sure that we're not competing with it. Okay? God does not call you to manage future assignments with present strength. God does not call you, I'm going to put it up on the screen. God does not call you to manage future assignments with present strength. That's why in the Lord's Prayer, it says, "Give me this day my daily bread. Give me what I need for today. Tomorrow will take care of itself. I need to focus on today." This is why also some people don't like setting goals because they don't want to outpace God or get too future focused, that they're not staying present enough. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I do understand it. And so God does not call you to manage future assignments with present strength. Your season that you're in is going to number the goals that you have. Maybe you can take on a couple more goals. Maybe you need to have less goals. Maybe you need to just have one. The season of life that you're in is going to determine the pace that you're going to execute and your level of intensity. The way that you hustle, grind, and work when you don't have anybody and when you are not responsible for anyone or accountable to anyone is very different than when you have to be responsible for someone and accountable to somebody. So the season of life that you're in is going to be determined, or is going to determine the level of intensity, the pace of your execution, and the number of goals that you have. All right. I think I made the point. I hope I did. I hope you got it. I hope you are tracking with me. We are getting ready to finally set some goals. Now that we did the work, are you ready to set some goals? I hope that you are. So I want you to think about some of the things that we talked about, your vision, where you're trying to get to. And if you were to have to break that down into steps, what would it look like? What would be the steps that you need to begin taking? So, for instance, if I need to go to Florida to go visit my grandmother and my aunt, I know that is the vision of where I'm trying to get to, but I also know that I need to do some things in my house before I leave. I need to clean. I need to do some laundry. I need to um, maybe clean out the car. I need to maybe get an oil change on the car. There's some things that I need to do before I ever even leave. I even need to save up some money. I need to have a budget. I need to decide on what day I'm going to go. I need to decide how long I'm going to be there. I need to think about the things that I want to do when I'm there so that my budget aligns with what I want to do. Um, I need to possibly take time off, whether I'm working for someone or for myself. I need to plan accordingly. Um, there's some things that I need to do. So as I'm thinking about those steps, I can make those steps into goals. And some of those goals are going to take longer. Some of those goals I can achieve within a month. So goals don't necessarily have to be something that are going to be finished at the end of this year. It can be something that is going to happen within the end of the month, within the end of 3 months, 6 months. It doesn't have to go all the way down to 12 months. But your goal always needs to be 3 things. It needs to be aligned with the current it's not current, excuse me. It needs to be aligned with your vision. Always, not sometimes, always. If you have a goal that is not aligned with your vision, that is a problem. It needs to be aligned with your vision. It needs to be appropriate for your season. And it needs to be within the SMART goal framework. Always, not sometimes, but always. It needs to be aligned with your vision. It needs to be appropriate for the season of life that you're in. And it needs to be made within the SMART goal framework. If I'm trying to go to Florida and I know I need to budget about $2,000 for my family of 6 to go down there, But something happens to my car or some type of financial something arises, well then the season for me to go down to Florida is not no more. I got to push that off. Do a different time because my finances need to be redirected towards whatever it is that just popped up. So it needs to be appropriate. The goal that you're going after needs to be aligned with your vision, appropriate for the season, and with the SMART goal framework. We understand aligned with the vision. I need to make sure that it is helping me to get towards my vision. We understand the appropriateness of the season. It needs to be aligned with the season that I'm in, but it also needs to be within the SMART goal framework. Now, SMART goals are something that you may have heard of before, but we're going to go over it real quick because it is a way to set goals. And if you set your goals with the SMART goal framework, it'll help you every single time to achieve and accomplish. So, SMART is an acronym for how you set up your goals. The S in SMART is specific. See if I can spell specific today. Oh wait. Okay. It's giving me a oh, hold on now. Hold on. Okay. Smart the S, excuse me. The S in SMART goals. There we go. Is for specific. You have to be specific about the thing that it is that you want to achieve. This is the bullseye concept. If you are going after a goal that is vague, generic, general, broad, it is not going to help you. So, vision can be broad, it can be big, it can it doesn't have to be as specific. The more specific and the more detailed you can get about a vision, the better you are. But your goals to getting towards that vision have to be specific because you're breaking down that big vision into steps. And so the first thing that you have to do is understand what you're targeting at right now, not 5 years from now, but today. What do you want to work on right now? You have to be specific. So if I say I want to go to visit my grandmother in Florida and I need to save some money, I need to know how much money I need to save. It's not just I need to save some money for vacation. No, no, no. How much money is it going to require? So that's going to require me to count up the cost. The Bible talks about that. Jesus says to the disciples and the Pharisees, who goes and builds a house without first counting up the cost? You have to count up the cost. You have to be specific about what it is that you're going to go after. And if you haven't sat down and thought through this, then maybe this is not the goal for you. Be specific. That is the only way that you are going to hit the bullseye, is if and when you are specific. The only way. So get specific about what it is that you're trying to do and understand what it is that you're trying to do. And sometimes getting specific also means that I have to understand that, does this work with the season of life that I'm in right now? And do I really want to do this right now? And sometimes we don't want to get specific because we don't want to deal with the fact that we really don't want to do it. That's the truth. It just sounds good, and I know I should be doing it, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it down as a goal, but in all reality, I really don't wanna do all the work towards it, so, you gotta get specific. So the first things first, when you are writing a goal, be specific as you can possibly get, and that may require some, research, that may require some internal investigation into your heart space and mental space and spiritual space. You may have to do some work to get specific. Nonetheless, get specific about what it is that you're going after. Okay. Now, the M in SMART stands for measurable. You need to be able to measure how far you are within reaching that goal. So every goal should have some type of milestone, should have some type of mile marker as you're going. Like if I'm on the highway, there are mile markers. I don't know if you've ever paid attention to it, but there are actual mile markers to say how far you are along your way on that road. It should be measurable. If it is not measurable, it is not a goal. It's a wish. Has to be specific. You have to be able to measure it. So, for instance, I want to go to Florida. I'm going to save up $2,000. First question is, when do I want to go to Florida and how quickly do I have to save up this $2,000? Yep, I got specific, but now how quickly do I need to save up this $2,000? Oh, okay. So I got to save up $500 every so often, every couple weeks, whatever it's looking like, so that I'm going to break that goal down into more steps because I'm measuring it so that I know once I get halfway through, am I going to reach the goal or not? Do I need to do some reassessment? Do I need to do some readjustments to it? Not do I need to do away with it, but how do I need to assess this? This is why going to work out and just saying I'm going to go work out and I want to become healthier in the new year doesn't work. It's not specific. It's not measurable. You have to be able to measure something. And I'm not saying it has to be in pounds or weight when it comes to working out, but maybe it is a pair of jeans that you want to fit into. Maybe it is you taking your measurements or your body mass. Maybe it is you taking your weight. You have to be able to measure it. Maybe it is understanding how many calories you eat or don't. Maybe it is understanding how much junk food or live living food that you eat. You have to be able to measure it. Get specific, and it needs to be measurable. Okay. Then the A and the SMART goal framework is attainable. Attainable. You have to be able to attain it. If I understand that I need $2,000 in order to go down Florida for my budget to go down there, but I have no means of income coming in, is that attainable? Absolutely not. I need to have a viable way of actually attaining the goal that I'm actually going after. Specific, measurable, attainable. I need to know that it's achievable. I need to know that I can do this. If you try to do something that you cannot do, you are going to burn yourself out and throw that goal out the window. If you go from not working out at all to all of a sudden you want to be in the gym 5 days a week, is that really attainable? If you want to go to from eating whatever it is, junk food and everything else, to all of a sudden now you're eating all clean and now you're eating all organic, is that really attainable? So we want to make sure that what we are doing is attainable and measurable and specific. We want to be able to attain it, achieve it. Now, the next one is probably one of my favorites and one that we've already talked about, so I'm not going to take too long to talk about it, which is the R, which is relevant. Is what you're going after, the goal that you're going after, relevant to the overall vision that you have for your life? If it is not, it is like you putting a ladder on somebody else's house, knowing that you're trying to get to the top of your roof, but now you put the ladder over on someone else's house and you start climbing it and can't figure out why you're on their roof instead of your own. Your goal needs to relate to what it is that you see for your life. If it does not, why are you doing it? That makes absolutely no sense. If it's not going to if it's not going to help you to gain one step closer to your dream, why are you doing it? Now, sometimes the way that it helps you to get there may look a little different. Like maybe this job is not in alignment with what I want to do and where I see myself, but it's funding my dream, but it's giving me the finances and the freedom. Maybe we only work 4 days a week, and the other 3 days a week I get to work on my job. Maybe, or on my life's work, what I really want to do. We have to understand that what it is that we're going after, and then make sure that the goals that we're setting align with the overall vision for our life. Too many people have in their heart what they want to do and keep it locked inside of them like a dream, but never, ever take the time to turn it into a vision and then put some goals to that vision. And then they end up getting to the end of their life sad, frustrated, and regretting so much. That's not going to be me and you. Now, I'm not going to say I'm not going to have any regrets. I may have some, but best believe I am living this life to the best of my ability. And everything that I'm going after, and I try to make sure that the things that I'm doing line up with the overall vision that I have for my life. If it doesn't align, I'm not doing it. Not doing it. It has to align. It has to be relevant to my overall vision for my life. Last one is an easy one, and that is the T in SMART stands for time bound. Time bound. There needs to be a deadline. There needs to be an end date. And I would say, I would dare to tell you that it doesn't need to be 5 years from now. It needs to either happen within this year, sometime within this year. It does not have to be all the way at the end of this year, but it has to be sometime within this year. And so make sure that you have an end date. If you do not have an end date, it is not a goal, it's just a wish. That's all it is. It's a hope. And hope deferred makes the heart sick. And so when you just have just hope and it doesn't come to full fruition, you're going to become frustrated. You're going to be sick. That's what the Bible says. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. Oh, but when it comes to manifestation, how joyful you can be. So I want you to set 3 to 5 goals. Oh, sorry, y'all. 3 to 5 goals for this year. They do not have to be all the way to the end of the year. They can be 6 months, 3 months from now, 1 month from now, whatever you got to do. But 3 to 5 goals, no more than 5. I know I said 3, but no more than 5, because some of you can tolerate more than 3, depending upon the season of life that you are in. And so we want to be mindful of our season. We want to make sure that it's aligned with our overall vision, and we want to make sure we're using the SMART framework. I just gave it to you. Specific, measurable. We have to be able to measure how close we are getting to the target. Attainable, achievable, can we actually do it? Relevant, does it align with our overall vision? And time bound, when is the end date? When is the deadline? That is the SMART goal framework. And I want you to do 3 to 5 goals for this year. Now, once you have those 3 to 5 goals set, you're going to narrow your focus a little bit. Okay? Because then we're going to make some quarterly priorities. Oh, sorry, y'all. Keep pressing the wrong button here. Quarterly priorities. Quarterly priorities are going to help you to understand what you need to prioritize for that week. Excuse me, for that quarter. And so it'll help you to narrow your focus to make sure that you are hitting the goals, to make sure that you are hitting your measurables, so that you can make sure that you're hitting your metrics. You're prioritizing things. Now, let me say this. Ooh, I keep hitting my camera. Sorry, you all. Just because something is a priority does not necessarily mean it's important. It's more important than something else. Please, 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 please hear me. Trying to think of what example I want to give to you. And the example, the story that I loved saying, because we can all relate to, I don't know how many of you have ever been in surgery. I have. I've had one surgery in my life, and it was on my back in 2019, December 2019. I had surgery on December 27th. And when I went into surgery, I had never been under anesthesia before. I had never been on a surgeon's table before. I've never broken a arm, sprained anything, like nothing. I've never been to the hospital for anything. There was one incident that I had when I was younger, which was I had carbon monoxide poisoning. Outside of that, I've never been to the hospital unless I was being born or given birth. Um, and so when I went in, I needed to know that the anesthesiologist and the surgeons that were working on me, that I was their top priority in that moment. That they were not thinking about the argument that they had with their spouse, that they were not thinking about how mad or upset that they were about with their kids, that they were not thinking about that, I hate this job or my boss or my coworkers or I needed them to focus in on me. I needed to be the highest priority in that moment so that when the anesthesiologist gave me my medicine to put me to sleep, he did not kill me. So when that surgeon began to open me up, he didn't forget what he was doing or make some mistake or start shaking or blacking out or daydreaming as he was cutting on my spine. I didn't want to be paralyzed. I needed to be the highest priority in that moment. Now, does that mean that I'm the most important thing to that person? No, I don't know them people. He got loved ones and all the other things. There are other people in his life that are way more important than me. But in that moment, I need to be the highest priority. I need him to not be thinking about nothing else but me, my back, and what I got to go through in that moment and how he needs to do surgery on me. There are going to be times when you're going to have to prioritize things above something else that feels like you are saying it's not as important. And that's not the truth. There was a conversation that I had to have with my children as well as with my husband to say, okay, there's some things that I'm doing because I need to prioritize this right now. I need to prioritize my business right now because there's some things that need to get done. That will, if I prioritize it right now and give it more time and attention, that it's going to pay off in the future. And so, although you are children, although you are husband, way more important than any business or anything else that I'm called to, I need to prioritize this right now in order to be able to know that in the future, it is going to pay off for us. So, can you give me the time and can you give me the space to be able to prioritize this without having to feel guilty that I'm prioritizing this? Without having to feel the weight and the pressure of you having an attitude with me because I prioritized this. Now, this is real grown up talk. This is a real mature communication, which a lot of people don't like to do and don't like to have. They like to say, oh, I'm called to do this and oh, I'm going to do that. But when it comes down to conversations like this, oh, I'm setting these goals and this is what I'm going to do. But when you actually have to have the conversations because of the people that are within your life, are you going to have the conversations? Are you going to draw the boundary lines with your boss who always asks you to do that last thing or to stay a little bit later or to work a little bit harder, but you know you have some goals, some things that you have prioritized out that has nothing to do with your job? Are you going to be able to say no? And are you going to be able to go to them and say, hey, I know that you have come accustomed to me staying late or me working on this or me having this responsibility, but there's some things that I'm working on in my life right now that I need to prioritize. It does not mean that this job is not important to me. It is. And this is still going to be my 100. I'm going to give my 100% while I'm here, but I have to draw a boundary line of me leaving at whatever time so that I can get to where I need to get to, because you only have 24 hours in a day. And these goals get done within the time frame that you have. So we talked about what your overall goals will be for the year. Now we're talking about how you're going to prioritize things on a quarterly basis. So then you need to take a step back and every 3 months and look at, okay, what are my priorities for this month, for this quarter? What needs to be prioritized? Not that it's more important than the other. But what are the boundary lines that I need to draw in order to prioritize these things so that I can achieve the goals that I'm going after? We got to narrow our focus and be able to measure our progress. So, annual goals or goals for the overall year, quarterly priorities, right? We just talked about that. And then monthly milestones. Monthly milestones. So, we should have some milestone markers in the ground as we are moving forward in progress towards our goals. This is the bridge between vision and action. This is what helps us to measure where we are, but this also helps to keep fuel in our tank and energy in our body to keep on going. When you don't celebrate the small achievements and small milestones, you will be burnt out by the time that you get to the finish line. You ever see anybody do a marathon and do running and all of that or biking? And you see all the people that come out to support them? And at different points, there are all these groups of people and they have water for them and they're cheering them on. If they don't stop in for a drink of water when they got that far, they're not going to make it. If they just keep trucking through, keep trucking through, keep trucking through, and never stop for a drink of water, and sometimes even for that hug that they need from their friend, they don't have the energy to make it through to the finish line. So we want to have some monthly milestone markers that we are able to celebrate the progress that we have made, the action steps that we have been taking. Now, for me, this is something that I have to be intentional about because I am not one to celebrate like that. And so I have to do some things that help me to slow down, pay attention to the progress that I've been making, and not just go on to the next thing, to the next goal, and keep on moving and trucking through. I have to say, no, 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 Chantell, stop. This is the progress that you have made. Celebrate, enjoy it, take it in. You've made it this far. And then keep on going. Okay. So, annual goals, wherever they fall within the year, quarterly priorities, monthly milestones, weekly rhythms. This is all helping you to understand how to achieve your goals. Weekly rhythms. Weekly rhythms help you to stay consistent, and they're realistic steps. They're patterns. They're things that you do in your routines, and they're rhythms that you have that keep you consistent. Consistency does not mean perfect. But when you think about a rhythm, it's constant, right? So you want to set yourself up so that you have a weekly rhythm to your schedule. That your schedule is not all over the place on a weekly basis, but you have a rhythm. You know that on Wednesday, I'm going to be doing this. You know that on Friday, I'm going to be doing that. You know that on Saturday, I'm going to be taking the time to do this. You have a rhythm of how you flow within your time on your schedule so that you can stay consistent. It's not all over the place, but you can stay consistent. Create your weekly rhythms so that you can achieve your monthly milestones, knock out your quarterly priorities, and accomplish every goal that you set. Lastly, our daily habits. Now, our daily habits are not your weekly rhythms, but they are the things that we do on a daily basis. They are the small, repeatable steps that we take that help us to get to where it is that we're trying to get to, but on a daily basis. If I want to read 52 books in a year, one book for every week, then there's something that I need to do every single day. And I need to build a habit of it so that it becomes autopilot. So whether that is me waking up to read or going to sleep with a book, I need that to be a part of my habit so that it becomes autopilot, so that me accomplishing my goals is automatic. I don't have to even think about if I'm going to accomplish my goals because I focused on what my daily habits are to accomplish that goal. My goal is to read 52 books. So my habit is going to be when I go to sleep, I'm going to sleep with one of my books. When I get in the shower, I'm listening to one of my books. When I'm in the car, I'm listening to one of my books. Of course, I'm going to do 52 books in a year. Between my commute, the time I'm getting ready, and me going to bed, I've allocated time and created habits that it's automatic. And it's so automatic that my kids know and beg me every single time we get in the car, can we just listen to some music? And I'm like, no, I need to listen to my book. We all gonna do 52 books in a year because we all listening to the book. So many times I don't even listen to music because I want to achieve my goal. Why do I want to achieve my goal? That goal stacks on top of the things that I need to learn, the things that I need to do for my own personal development, as well as what I share inside of the She Builders. And so it just stacks. So I'm not just doing reading 52 books just to say I read 52 books. Most of those books are on personal development. Most of those books are on coaching. Most of those books are on spirituality. Most of those books are on prayer. Most of those books have everything to do with the things that I love or my personal development or psychology or something to that effect that help me to be able to do what I'm doing at a higher level. Daily habits. So it's automatic that when I go into the shower, I automatically bring my phone and put on Audible. It's automatic that when I get in the car, even my kids know that I'm going to be turning on a book. It's automatic. I don't even think about it anymore. Big vision is built through small, obedient steps. Big visions are built through small, obedient steps. So we have to be consistent. We want to stick with the small, obedient steps. So I want you to think about one annual goal. What is one goal that you can consider and think about for the whole year? And then break that down into a quarterly priority, what you need to prioritize, what would be one of the top priorities that you need to consider for each quarter. A monthly milestone. So there should be 12 milestones if you have an annual goal. What will your weekly rhythm look like? These are the rhythms that you're going to take and make as you are going throughout your week. And then what is a daily habit that you can start to form or that you already have that will help you to get to that annual goal? Like the 52 books in the year. Simplicity over volume. You do not have to overcomplicate this. This does not have to be overwhelming. It can be simple, but you have to take the time to break it down. So, thinking about all of that, we're coming to the close of what we have been talking about. Habits are truly spiritual building blocks. Habits shape our identity, they create momentum. They truly are the things that help us to be consistent or not consistent. They reduce reliance on motivation. A lot of times we are looking for the inspiration and the motivation and not understanding that as we are thinking about the things that we want to do, we need to have some things in place that are helping us to get there. And habits are those things, are those building blocks that will help us to get there. We want to rely on motivation and inspiration, and that is emotional. And emotions change. And so we have to know and we have to understand that when it comes to going after our goals, habits is what's going to get us there. What you practice daily is what you eventually become. What you practice daily is what you eventually become. So I wanted to be an avid reader. I wanted to read 52 books in a year. I have to practice it daily because I want to become an avid reader. I believe that leaders are readers. And so if leaders are readers, then I need to read. If I want to be a great leader, then I need to be an avid reader. What does an avid reader look like? 52 books a year, one book every week. That's a lot. Yep, that's an avid reader. So, how do I break that down into a daily thing? I read every day. Prayer rhythms, weekly planning, rest boundaries, focused work blocks. These are some things that you can put into place that can help you to accomplish the goals that you're going after. You want some rhythms of prayer, things that you do consistently throughout the week when you pray. You want to take the time to plan on a weekly basis. What is the one day that you're going to take to plan out your week and your month? Where are your boundaries for rest? What day are you going to take to actually rest and not work all the time? Are you going to have some focused work blocks? Break down your work into blocks of time that you know you're going to do nothing but focus in on that particular thing. Focused work blocks work. They do. So don't just talk about it, but really be about it. Now, the last thing I'm going to say to you is that we can finish out this year strong. And if we start with the idea that how do I want to finish? Thinking about the end, begin with the end in mind, and then reverse engineer the steps that you need to take in order to get to that goal. So begin with the end in mind, reverse engineer the steps that you need in order to get to that goal. We can finish strong. If we start out by thinking about how we want to end, not just what we want to achieve, but how we want to end, not just the first step we're going to take, but how we want to end. So this will require us to understand that we are going to fail at some point. We're going to fall off the wagon at some point. We're going to make a mistake at some point. What are we going to do? Are we going to adjust or are we going to quit? Are we going to get back up or are we going to stay down? What are we going to do? So we need to also put that into our plan so that we understand that if I do fall off the wagon, I know that at some point I need to get back up and keep on moving. We need to evaluate without condemning. So the measurable part is not just to measure the progress, but to also measure where you are. And sometimes that means evaluate what you need to be doing or what you're not doing. No condemnation, no judgment. Be aware, acknowledge, make the adjustment, get back up, keep on moving, and continue without striving. You have the Holy Spirit on the inside of you that empowers you. You are not doing this alone. And if you are truly doing the thing that you believe that God has called you to do, don't you think that you're going to get an extra oomph from the Holy Spirit in that? So don't lean into your own strength, but rest in God. When he tells you to rest, rest because he can do more in the time frame that you're going to rest than you could if you work in 7 days a week. So don't toil, don't strive, do it according in the way that God is calling you to do it, which is going to require a weekly reflection. Sometimes you're going to have to make reassessments and reassess what's going on and get an accountability partner. So, as we close, you now have order. Hopefully, you have some direction. Hopefully, you have some structure, as we talked about the other day. And now you also understand the pace and the goals that you are going to set. I want to invite you to the next two steps of this 5-day experience. We've been going for 3 days strong. So on the 5th and the 6th, we will continue our conversation. The 5th will be about marriage and motherhood. And then let's see here. Let me get it in the chat, right? Or up on the screen rather. The 5th will be about marriage and motherhood. We'll be talking about that because it's important that we consider these things as we are talking about our goals and the things that we want to do, because we're not just called as individuals, we're called collectively. And so marriage and motherhood will be on Monday, January 5th. And then we are going to be doing business, career, business, career, and ministry on January 6th. And so this will be the one that we will talk about the um uh work, where we're talking about the business, where we're talking about whatever job that you have, where we're going to talk about the ministry areas and the things that you are leading. This is where we are going to talk about that on Tuesday, January 6th. So those are the two things that we have coming up: marriage and motherhood on Monday, January 6th, Tuesday. We're going to be talking about business, career, and ministry alignment, how to make sure that what we are doing are aligning with these things, because this is a part of the seasons that we're in, right? And so those will be happening on Monday and Tuesday. I would love for you to join me in that. And so it's important that you do that. If you're not a part of the inner circle, you can definitely join the inner circle. You can go to shebuildsherdreams.com, or rather go to what I put in the, there we go. What I put inside of the chat, which was the link to join the inner circle. Now that is the link to join the inner circle. There are also there's also another link that you can, if joining the inner circle is not what you would like to do, and you just want to continue on this experience and not have a monthly membership, because the inner circle is a monthly membership. You can go over to, I'm like, my links aren't showing up. There we go. You can make sure I'm giving you the right link. Okay, here we go. You can go over to this link right here and complete the experience for the She Dreams to Build experience, which will give you all the information on that so that you can join for that. If it's not popping up for you, there may be a technical difficulty. You'll have to DM me if you are interested in this. But the She Dreams to Build, if you're just interested in continuing on with the 5 days, it gives you a couple things. It gives you the complete 5 days. So Monday and Tuesday will be included. You'll get a workbook. You will also get access to quarterly alignment sessions that we will have throughout the year. And you will also get the free ebook, my Finishing Strong ebook, which has everything to do with goals. And so you'll get those things along with the complete 5 days and all of the replays. And so that will be available to you if you want to just join us for the She Builds or She Dreams to Build experience that is there. So next steps are for you to join us on Monday and Tuesday. If you're like, Chantell, I don't want to join you for Monday and Tuesday. I completely understand that. We are getting ready and prepared for the reset. So we got a couple things going on. January is always my time of sprinting, moving fast and moving forward to set us up for the rest of the year. And so the reset is coming up. And here is the link to join us for the reset. Now, the reset is an investment. It's a 21-day fasting, prayer, fasting, and planning session. I'll be doing 15 minutes on a live to everybody for the public, but then we'll be doing 15 more minutes of work inside of the reset, the VIP access. And so if you would like to join us for that, you can click on the link for that. That will give you the ability to be able to come a part of the reset. For those of you who are in the circle, you get everything, so you don't have to worry about anything. But for those of you who just want to join, just maybe for the reset or just for the remainder of the experience of the She Dreams to Build experience, those links are in the chat. If you do not see them in the chat, make sure that you DM me and let me know, and I will get those links over to you. Because I do know that some things were not fully acting right here, but hopefully you can see the links there. I hope that you have enjoyed these 3 days. I know that I have. I feel like you should be set up now, foundationally and goal wise, to be able to set the goals that you are looking for. I would really love to support you and continue to walk with you as we continue on in 2026. Um, like I said, the next two steps would be for you to join us for Monday and Tuesday for those two alignment sessions, and then also for the reset, which really helps you to implement everything that we've been talking about from a biblical standpoint. So, what we do is we read through the book of Proverbs according to the day of the week that we're on. And for 21 days, we go through the book of Proverbs along with fasting and along with prayer. So, I give you a whole fasting guideline. I give you a prayer guide as well, and we walk that out. And so I've done it for a really, really long time in various ways, and I've always got so much feedback and input that it is one of the best things that people have experienced. And so I really want to encourage you to join us for the reset. If you do nothing else, join us for that. It's only $21. Again, it gives you the fasting guideline, it gives you the prayer guide, and then you get all of the access to the community, as well as the ability to be able to be a part of the work that we're going to do inside. So we take the book of Proverbs, we go according to the day that we're on, and we break that thing down. And we use it to plan, because the book of Proverbs is all about wisdom. So we take that wisdom and we plan our life. So what we've been talking about up until now has been the foundation, has been laying the work, has been the realignment, making sure that we're getting everything ready. But to really implement and walk it out, how are you going to do that? So that is what the reset is for. It's to help you to walk it out. It's to reset and set you on the right path and walk it out step by step for 21 days with a community of people, with a community of believers. So I want to encourage you to join me for that. It is a phenomenal time every single year that I've done it. I've never been disappointed. I've never heard anybody else be disappointed who's joined us. Um, we do a progressive fast, and I do give you a couple different ways to fast for those of you who maybe have medical conditions and things like that. There's different ways that you can fast, but trust and believe. When you have done the work that we've done, even over these last 3 days, to set yourself up to be realigned, and then you start walking down this reset, when you fast, ooh, you get so crystal clear. Some of the things that you need to move, you need to get out of the way, you need to set some boundaries, things become crystal clear. And so I want to encourage you to join us for the reset, because that fasting piece, there's nothing like it. That planning piece, there's nothing like it. When you take prayer, fasting, and planning and put them together, this is taking the spiritual and making it practical to your everyday life and walking it out. And so I hope that you will join us, if nothing else, for the 21-day reset. The link is in the chat. It is $21 for 21 days. And again, you get the fasting guide, the prayer guide, and then the support along the way. So I hope that you join us. Join the inner circle. Again, congrats to you, Stephanie, for joining the inner circle. I know we have a couple more people that'll be joining us inside of the inner circle. So I'm so excited that our community is growing, right? And so share this with somebody else as well if you can. I hope that this time, these last 3 days, have blessed you. I believe that it has. I've given you all I got, right? I've given you everything, all I have. But I really look forward to those of you who will be joining us for the next 2 days on Monday and Tuesday for the remaining of the alignment sessions and then also for the reset. It's going to be a great time, a phenomenal time of God showing up and showing out. So thank you so much for being with me. I've enjoyed this time with you all. Thank you for hanging in there. I know these sessions have been a little bit long, but it's what I believe was needed to be done. And so next year, I think we're going to do it in a different way. I think we're going to do it in an in-person way. So we'll be looking for that. Be looking for that in-person opportunity to really do this. And I think we can dive a little bit deeper and get some things done. So I so appreciate you all. I look forward to being with you all again very, very soon. For the rest of the realignment and then also for the reset. And if not, I hope that everything that you have gotten out of this time will take you into 2026 and really be able to help you to achieve everything that you believe God is calling you to do. I believe nothing but the best of you and for you, and hope that blessings come your way and everything that you need to learn in this season that you will get and you will learn and you will be able to do everything that He is calling you to do because He's equipped you already. He's giving you everything that you need already. You can do this. So thank you so much for joining us today and for the last couple days. And for those of you who will be joining us in the future, I just appreciate you all. I am going to go take a nap, Tiffany. I am. I'm getting ready to go take a nap, get in the bed, and rest. So thank you all for being with me. You guys have a phenomenal day. Enjoy the rest of your day and get those goals done. You guys have a great day. Bye bye, you all.